I am Cherian, um, writer-director of Papilio. Uh, Papilio is a film which shot in India. Um, it is a story of a group of displaced untouchables in South India. And the film is mapping the political and social atrocities committed against Dalit people, means untouchable people in India. Thank you.
ഞങ്ങൾ ആരുടെയും ഹരിജനങ്ങളല്ല. ഞങ്ങൾ ഈ ഭൂമിയുടെ അവകാശികളായ ആദിഗോത്ര ജനതയാണ്. ഇന്ത്യൻ സവർണ രാഷ്ട്രീയ നേതാക്കൾ, ഗാന്ധി അടക്കമുള്ളവർ ദളിതരെ വഞ്ചിക്കുകയായിരുന്നു. മർദ്ദകരുടെ മതമായ ഹിന്ദുമതവും സനാതന ധർമ്മവും ഗാന്ധി ദളിതർക്കെതിരെ ഉപയോഗിച്ച മൂർച്ചയേറിയ ആയുധങ്ങളായിരുന്നുവെന്ന് നാം തിരിച്ചറിയണം. ഞങ്ങളിതാ ഹിന്ദുമതം ഉപേക്ഷിക്കുന്നതായി പ്രഖ്യാപിക്കുന്നു.
Yeah, so you already had some press screenings. Yeah. How was the reaction?
It's an amazing reaction, and the audience are great. And last show, the day before, it was like very late show, and after the show, there's about 45 minutes audience sit there, and almost 12 o'clock, the people asking questions and discussing about it. And this Papilio is banned in India initially. Completely. And we went through the censorship codes and its hierarchies and bureaucracy. Finally, we got the certification after cutting certain parts of the film, and which is like a serious kind of political speech controlling in India. So the government body directly doing editorial intervention on a piece of art is kind of crazy.
Well, I don't really know the process, but the movie went to censorship and still it was banned after being censored?
No, when we submit to censor board, they outright deny the certificate.
Okay.
That is automatically banned. And we try to show, and we appellate the higher bodies of the censorship hierarchy. That take 8 months. Meanwhile, we are trying to show, and all the publicly funded, government-funded festivals in India refuse to take the film. And one of the film festivals, they selected it, and some political pressure, they have to take it out.
Okay.
So that particular venue, we had a private screening, and the cops burst into the theater and shut down the theater. And the people, the audience come to see this movie, did a protest march in front of the venue. There was a big thing there. And finally, after 8 months fight within the various censorship hierarchies, we got certification with certain parts to blur and certain parts we have to cut off, and muting the dialogues. and that kind of. But still, in its original form, which is banned in India.
Okay, but the scenes that need to be blurred, the dialogues that needed to be cut down, are those parts that are political, dealing with the situation of the caste system, or are those concerned with the homosexuality that is shown?
Actually, homosexuality is criminalized in India right now. It's
Yeah.
recriminalized
Just a few months ago.
a few months ago. And it was decriminalized a few years ago, which was, we are hanging on the Indian Penal Code Section 377, which is put in place by British people in 1800s, or so, 1862 something. And since that law, the European Victorian, based on Victorian morality, that law still sticks in India. And few years back, one court struck down that it is unconstitutional. But the religious fundamentalist group and conservative group appealed that. And Supreme Court, few weeks ago, they recriminalized homosexuality. So after the decriminalization, a lot of queer population come out, and now they can go back. The homosexuality is a crime which can get the punishment, life imprisonment. But Papilio Buddha is not directly dealing with the homosexuality. It is dealing with the caste oppression. It is a story of a group of displaced untouchables in southern India. The political sensitivity is coming from how the Dalit perception of the national of India, icons of India like Gandhi, and Gandhi was a great champion and propagator of Indian nationalism based on Hindu nationality, Hindu cultural nationality, which is very right-wing force in India. But the Gandhi narrative of Indian nationality, which is based on Hindu Sanatana Dharma, then that is rationalizing caste system. In a way, Gandhi is a caste supremacist, and his actions was always anti-Dalit. But in the Western world, he was projected as a champion of Dalit cause. But this film is trying to deconstruct that. And in the film, a group of Dalit people burning effigy of Gandhi, that provoked government. Because we are denigrating national icons.
Yeah.
So the fact is that historically, Gandhiji's longest fasting happened in 1932, which was not against the British people, which was against untouchables of India, because then British Prime Minister Donald Ramsay allow some constitutional privileges for the untouchables, which is called a communal award, which give untouchables have separate constituencies in the election. Gandhiji did to force Dalit leaders like Dr. Ambedkar to give up that privilege. And he refused to do that. Then Gandhi started to this fasting. That fast, Gandhi almost died, and the other Congress and upper caste leaders go and pressure and threaten Dr. Ambedkar. If he didn't give up this right, he hardly fought for it. They initiated a genocide in the villages of all over India. That's happened always, but it is still happening. Aggressively killing Dalits all over. So he painfully gave up these rights, and after that he did a speech. In that and he wrote a book about that. Fasting is a foul act and a filthy act, which is most corrosive act. One of my character in the film is quoting this quotation and citing this Pune Pact and Gandhiji Satyagraha. The government wanted to mute all that conversations. And that is the history of the Dalit rage against the Hindutva forces or the Hindu fundamentalist forces, specifically Gandhi. This is
So the homosexual representations in the film weren't so much what they were interested in censoring within the film. So they were really focusing on these, what Jayan is talking about. And the homosexual representations in the film, which when I heard that there was this push to censor the film, I was assuming that was where they were targeting their focus, but it wasn't. It was on these.
Would you mind to step a bit closer? Otherwise, you're standing behind me
yeah,
for
yeah.
the things. You also had those scenes in the movie where there were where they were in the police building and the American had to leave the country because he got threatened and stuff like that. Were those also things that you experienced during shooting the movie, that you had problems to shoot the movie already?
Yeah, already that we tacitly shoot the movie, and that particular area is a problematic area, which we shoot. There is a Dalit and untouchable people in 1992 squatted a vast area of land and declared autonomy, and the government forced them to evacuate. There was shootout happened, people died. There is no way they can allow us to shoot there, and they don't know what we are shooting. So the name of the movie is Papilio.
Yeah.
Papilio is an endangered species of butterfly endemic to the region.
Which you're trying to catch in the beginning.
And we put a request to government that is a documentary on Papilio and which they don't realize it.
Yeah.
After we shoot and we left, and when we submit this film to the censorship, then they realize, this was it. And it was a fictional film, but it is not a fiction. It was based on real events, and the caste atrocities and struggles happened last 2 decades in Kerala, and I take that historical framework and historical time and superimpose a narrative on it. That many events really happened there. It's also the proximity of the recent history, and also there is a Dalit movement called a DHRM, which is Dalit Human Rights Movement. It is an Ambedkarite Buddhist movement, but it is very militant, and the government declared them as terrorists, and they are hunting. This hunting started like 4 or 5 years back, and unprecedented atrocities police committing to these Dalit young people, and we interviewed the victims of these atrocities, and we reenacted that torture chambers and everything which is existing in Kerala. Some notorious places called Guantanamo Bay of Kerala. There's torture chambers in everywhere. So that is all unsettled them. That is one of the reasons to have this much issues.
Yeah.
But in queer representation in Kerala, we are all live and enjoy full spectrum of sexuality. We have homosexuals, bisexuals, trisexuals, all kind of people are there and living it. But heterosexuality means in public space, sexuality means in public spaces, heterosexuality.
Yeah.
The representation of Kerala life in the mainstream movie, all kind of movie, novels, all heterosexual. So in the film, that we are not focusing on particular sexual behavior, but all kind of behaviors we are bringing out. And
But I mean, you're also showing sexuality as something very open when the main actor is first having a love relationship with a man and then later with a woman, and there is never like this big debate or this big issue for him, what am I now? Am I this or am I this? But he is just sexual and he just falls in love with people.
probably he can, he just, and all these boundaries are meaningless in terms of sexuality. Actually, it's so fluid. So people, the pleasure and desire is not predictable. But in the movie, the first scene, that central character have a relationship with David's character, but later there is a Buddhist connotation to the female relationship there, and not there just having sex with a female. It is a tantric initiation. There is an image of Buddha. That girl's name is Manjushri. Manjushri is not accidental. Manjushri is a Buddha, bodhisattva with a sword in one hand and Prajnaparamita in the other hand. And in Kerala, before the Hinduism invaded Kerala, there is vast majority of Keralites are Tantric Buddhist. They have that practice. But this denouncing Hinduism and taking Buddhism in the movie is the iconography of the movie itself, evoking that ancient practice of Tantric initiation. So in Tantric tradition, even in Hindu Tantric or Buddhist Tantric, sex is not mere sexual act. It itself a prayer. It's a spiritual act.
Okay.
In that tradition.
So in that scene where he, the character that I have a same-sex relationship with, when he's with the woman, Jayan's filmed it so you see the Buddha turn and reveals this other imagery that he's saying. It's very interesting for me, being from the West, that Westerners have a very different experience of the film, whereas someone from the Indian culture, they're getting all those cues, visual cues and iconography that he has in the film, whereas Westerners, we're experiencing, people come up to us after and said, are you saying that he purged his homosexuality by then being with this woman? And that's not the intention at all, but coming from the West, people project meanings onto things that are different from what is the intention.
Symbols mean different things in
That's
different
right.
societies.
That's
It always
right,
depends
yeah.
on the cultural background, so it's
that's right.
understandable that they're differently interpreted.
That's
But
right.
how was it for you, as someone coming from the outside, so to say, shoot this movie in India about a big topic in India? How was it for you?
It was really fascinating. I am learning as a person. My character in the film is sort of ignorant of the ramifications of the politics all around him. He's just naively just there he's single-mindedly looking for these butterflies that he knows when he gets home he can make quite a bit of money off of having. So, and in some ways as a person, my own experience was really similar. I was learning all this stuff. I mean, I knew Jayan before the film, and I knew the process he was going through to make the film, and I knew how important, and I knew the issues involved, but I was really getting the same kind of education that I think audiences experience when they see the film, especially Western audiences, that they're getting this intense education about a society and a culture that we know nothing about. So there was that aspect to me, but the other aspect that was really fascinating as an actor is when I got there, we had one day of rehearsal. Jayan's intention was he worked with a lot of non-actors in the film. So a lot of the Dalit people, the untouchable people, that's themselves. And in fact, the man who plays the father, he's very much playing a version, he's a real person. So he's not an actor. So I saw very quickly, for me, really more personally as an actor, and aside from all the issues, was really knowing that my performance had to be almost documentary-like reality, because there were so many non-actors who were they're just so real. When the camera rolls, what you see, there's no difference when the camera turns off and when it's rolling for these people. What you see is their presence as a person on the screen, and I knew I had to match that. Do you know what I mean? I knew I couldn't be caught acting, or it would look really fake and stupid. So my challenge as an actor was to be as documentary-like as I possibly could be.
And do you think that the movie will ever be screened in India?
Yes, it's screened. It's the way we can monetize. But if there is no distributors taking the film, the major theaters cannot play. But the underground movements, the Dalit groups, they are showing all over uncut versions in the villages. They're just projecting to the walls of their huts and they're watching the movie. But as a filmmaker, you cannot have any kind of way to distribute. I mean, traditional kind of distribution, the way we are getting the money back, that kind of thinking, that is very, it is almost impossible, because the TV don't take it. And still the certification, we got it with A certificate, like equal to NC-17 in America. That is adult content, they're saying. So that automatically kills the satellite and the TV distribution, and major distribution don't even touch it.
And also still the film culture there is very, you'll have to back me up, but it's still very Bollywood driven. There's not the same kind of independent film culture in general, right? That exists, that as opposed to in America we have the Hollywood system, but we have the independent art film movement, so the audiences are there for this kind of work. And the audiences aren't, regardless of the political controversy, they're not there for this type of work in general.
There is Indian parallel cinema, there are art movement with the festival circuit, but that festival circuit have a strong government hand in it, and that is very institutionalized. And most of these people don't want to lose their job, take the film, no? So probably they are sympathizers, they want to see a movie, they want to watch, to show movies, but they don't want to jeopardize their positions. And also Indian politics is very caste driven. So even all over, even people fall in love with based on caste. Even the other thing is we are addressing the how female body being treated in the public space, rape epidemic in India. India became a rape nation now, in that sense. So in certain courts, jadi courts, that means the caste courts, the local kangaroo courts, you call, their verdict are rape. Recently, one girl fell in love with another tribe of the person in another tribe, and what happened? The local kangaroo court in Bengal give a verdict to entire jury members, 7 jury members go and rape her. That is, rape is using as a legitimate mode of social control. It's punitive rape. The several instances happen in the village areas. Another sense, also the female body of just a outcast or untouchable girls are easily accessible to the upper caste male, and that is automatically their property. They treat them as property. But after the Delhi rape recently, gang rape, there was a huge movement all over India, but the politicians started making laws to prevent that, but it is not effective at all. Okay. It is happening all over. And this, several issues we are dealing with.
Yeah. Well, one way or another, I hope that your movie will also be screened in the big cinemas and not just underground, that there will be a discussion about it and that things will change to a better. Thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.